This is the week 5 report for the puppy Dan. This week Dan went for his last visit to the vet. He now has all his shots, and right now he weighs about 28 pounds. But she expects him to end up somewhere between 50 and 60 pounds. Gives you an idea on the size of the man. Since I mentioned the size, one thing that I didn't mention earlier that I probably should have is collar size. How to fit a collar, what collar you need, what kind of size. I think as a puppy, the clip-on collars are the best. You're going to start out, of course, with a very small one, and then progress to the bigger collars. You don't want a collar too big, and you don't want a collar too tight. Generally, our general rule for collar size is that you can slip 2 fingers up under the collar, and it should be snug but not tight. Generally, if that's the way the collar fits, then it's probably just about right. Now, as the dog grows, you're going to have to change, make it a little bigger as he needs it. Right now I'm on my second collar, and it looks like it's going to last for a while yet. So you're not going to be buying a bunch of collars, but that first one will be small and you'll probably go through it pretty fast. There can be some danger having a collar too loose as far as catching it on something and a dog actually hanging itself. So this week I have quite a bit I want to mention, so I've made myself a little list here so I don't forget everything I want to talk about. Let's see. Today I went back out to the club where I belong, and we liberated a couple birds. Just me and Dan went out. I didn't have any help today, and went to the recall pen and just liberated 2 birds. Let them fly out, didn't plant them or anything, just kind of watched the general area where they flew into, and did that before I got Dan out of the crate. And then I went back to the van, got Dan out of the crate, and kind of circled around. I didn't want to walk him directly up to it, and I wanted to avoid the recall pen, so I kind of made a wide circle around and come back up into the area and walk through it, and Dan didn't find the birds. I didn't worry about that. He'll find them when he finds them. We walked through that area, and we walked, I'd say another maybe 5 minutes around and come back to that area where I knew the general location of the birds. And wasn't too long. Dan locked up on point in one of the little clumps of grass, and the bird actually snuck out the other side. Dan never did see it come out. I did, but he didn't, and it flew away about 20 feet. I just let Dan stand there and continued to kind of kick around in the grass till he decided it was time to move. Didn't take him but a minute or two, and he moved. He stood there all that time. His scent was that strong. He did move then, and we went over to the general area where the bird flew, and he looked around. It was kind of like a row of trees that separated 2 fields. Then he went up and down it a couple times, and finally on the edge, in the short grass on the edge, he found the bird and pointed it. Flushed it again for him, and the bird flew further back into that row of trees, and Dan, far enough that Dan couldn't follow it. And so I coaxed him back out of there, and we looked around the area for a little longer and eventually found that second bird. And Dan pointed it, and I flushed it, and Dan seen it fly this time, and he went over to the general area where it flew, but he didn't see exactly where it went. And he got a chance and did point it again. And I flushed the bird and it flew into that same row of trees. Well, of course, Dan seen it go in there and he went in after it and was looking around, and I had accomplished everything I think I wanted to accomplish for the day. So I just kind of walked off and clapped my hands and called Dan. And it took him a little while, but he finally gave up and decided to go with me. And then we walked crossed another field and then back down into below a hill and back around and toward the lake out the club, and then walked around the lake, let him get a drink in the lake because it wasn't real warm, but it was probably pushing 60 degrees. That's one thing I haven't mentioned. It's a word that I use, and it's not necessarily a command. It would be, I guess I would say it's more like well, I'm terrible at analogies, but hopefully this won't be too bad. But sort of like a baseball player when you see them out on the field, and you'll see the infielders come in and they'll hold up two fingers, to indicate that there's two outs. It's not telling anybody to do anything. It's just sort of a reminder, an acknowledgement that any base, throw two, you get the out, you're out of the inning. Well, that's basically what this word is for, and the word is drink. When Dan's at the water bowl, not every time, but if I'm around and he's there, or if we've been outside or whatever and it's hot, and he goes and gets a drink, I'll say the word drink 2, 3, 4 times. I don't know. Which is whatever it seems logical to me at the time. And I'll say, drink, while he's drinking. Eventually, he's going to associate that word with getting a drink. Won't happen overnight. But if you do it often enough, today when I was out around the lake, I knew he was hot from running. I used the word drink. And when he went down to the pond to get a drink out of the pond, or the lake, or whatever you want to call it. And you do that repeatedly and often enough, there's going to be a day when you're out, or a day, and you're close to water, and Dan may not see it. Generally, dogs smell it, but if he didn't see it, if it's just a puddle, you want to make sure he gets a drink. He'll hunt better with a wet nose and mouth. And you can call him to you and tell him drink, and he's going to know that there's water there because every time you've said it, there's been water there. It can be very helpful. Even if you've got a squeeze bottle, a lot of times with dogs I'll use a squeeze bottle, and I can squirt the water directly. Just one of those water bottles with a squirter on it. And I put it in the back of my game bag or in a pocket, and I can stick that right in his mouth and push that bottle and squirt some water in. So we're not losing a lot of water, but he's getting a drink. And, you're going to want to call him to you when you do that, and he's going to be wanting to hunt. But if you say drink and he's thirsty, he's going to understand what you're talking about. Not a command, really. That's not intended to be a command. It's just an acknowledgement that there's water here. If you need a drink, this is the time to get it. Seems simple, but I found it very useful throughout the years. Not everybody does it. I don't know. Pro trainers do that or not. I have no idea, but I know for me, it's worked with my dog. Let's see, what else do I have here? Let's see. I guess next thing I want to bring up would maybe be that when you want to call your dog. Now, I'm getting to the point where if Dan's doing something he's not supposed to be doing, or if he's got something he knows he's not supposed to have, he won't come to me with that thing if I call him, clap my hands or whatever. He'll go the other way because he wants it. He's not ready to come in the house yet. Or there's another dog out there he wants to play with. He don't want to go in, So this is going to be something, every dog needs to know when, that you want him to come, and the word. Now, the word that you use is all your choice. with dog training, any word is good for a command as long as you're consistent with it. But that's a command like no, which is a very good stern word. You want a word like that. So it's not going to be a peaches and cream or a multiple syllable word or a group of words when you want the dog to come to you. It's going to be something simple. Some people like come. Myself, I feel I can be much more assertive with the word here. So I don't know if you can tell the difference, but you can have come or you can have here. I think here is more assertive and works better. And how I'm going to start the puppy off on that command is I'm going to get a check cord, not a leash. Leash is something different. A check cord is something that the dog can literally drag behind him. Generally 25 feet long, maybe 30. No bigger, and maybe a little shorter, but certainly no shorter than 15 feet. You want it so you can get a hold of it when you want to get a hold of it. You don't have to get all the way on top of the dog to get it. Something that you can put your foot on and stop them. Get control of them. It's a control thing, and that's what you're going to use it for, to teach the word here, come, whatever you want to use, word you want to use. My suggestion would be here, because you can be assertive with that word. So anyhow, you can buy these cords pre-made. Generally, they're bright orange. All the major dog supply companies generally sell them. You want something stiff. You don't want something so limp or limber, or a nylon cord, or that webbing or stuff that they sell for cords or leashes. Those generally are horrible as far as being hung up, and that can be dangerous. I can tell you a story that I had a Brittany, one of my first dogs, and he was a little hard to break on his birds, so I had him run with that cord often, and I would run him for the day with that cord on. Well, one day he didn't come back. He was hunting with that cord on him. Turned out he had got that cord wrapped around something and was stuck. Now, this was down in the bottoms of the Mississippi River, and there are coyotes around. And I left that night, took the other dogs home with my buddy, and we went back at 10 o'clock at night and went up and down the levees looking for the dog. And we eventually, since I had a beeper collar on him, at night when it was quiet, we could hear it, and we found him. But it was just as likely that a coyote might have found him and got him. And they will kill him, your dog. So fortunate it didn't happen, and I got him back. But generally, you want a cord that's real stiff. You can do this by buying a similar to a wash line almost rope, poly rope, cotton poly rope, 3/8 to 5/8 inch thick. Get it soaking wet, and lay it out in your yard for 2 or 3 days, or just put it out there dry, leave it out there for a week. That thing will get stiff. It'll get stiff enough, it'll be like a lasso almost. I'm not exactly sure on how that works, the scientific reason that gets so stiff, but it does. So you're going to take that rope, and on one end you're going to put a J hook, one of those little hooks that you squeeze the thing and it opens up the end, and you hook it onto the collar. One of those, about 3 inches long. You can buy them at the hardware store where you buy the rope. And generally, on the other end of that, I'm going to make a little loop. And I shouldn't say I'm going to make a loop. I'm not making a loop to leave it in there permanently. But and when I'm using it, sometimes I'm going to tie a loop in the end. You can simply do that by just going over itself, and through the line you make a little loop. We've all done it. It won't slip on that heavy line, stiff line like that. And you can use that for a cinch around the dog's belly when you're doing some training on birds. And you can get some dogs you have to get pretty serious with and stern with, and they'll want to quit on you. They'll sit down, and you don't want them to sit down, so you can use a half hitch, go under that dog's belly with that rope and catch him, with it. Then you can keep that butt from going on the ground when there's pressure on it. Some dogs will do that. Some won't. Some will. Other times, you're going to want that loop on there just because it'll be easier on your hands. Nothing hurts worse than that 5/8 inch rope sliding through your hand when a dog's on a full run. Burn the hell out of your fingers. Give you blisters. Those are just a couple things, but I'm going to use a rope like that. I'm going to have him drag it around just in the backyard where I've got some control. He's not going to get away from me. I'm not out in the open where he's running. I'm not going to be able to get a hold of him. I'm not going to be able to enforce a command. In that yard, on a 25-foot rope, I can get him. I guarantee you can too. I'm old, and I can catch a pup. You can too. When I want the pup to come to me, I'm going to say here. I'm going to say it one time, and I'm going to grab a hold of that rope while I'm saying it and give it a jerk. And as he starts coming to me, I'm going to reel him all the way in. When I get him in, I'm going to praise the hell out of him. You can use all kinds of words. I think you've heard me probably on here say good boy, when we were talking about the fetching and stuff, You can use attaboy. You can use whatever praise you want, but make it sincere and make it excited. Attaboy, get in there and get it, stick it. Good dog, make it real. And if you want, I wouldn't do it constantly. You can have a few treats in your pocket, small ones. You don't want biscuits. You don't want him eating 10 or 12 biscuits in a session. So, have 5 treats, 6 treats in your pocket. You don't need to do it every time, but every once in a while when he comes to you, you're going to give him that treat. Still praise, but every once in a while you can give him that treat. Just so he knows that when you say here, you want him to come to you, and you're just not saying it, you mean it. So you're going to say here, and you're going to try and key him all the way back to you. What you want to avoid is a situation where you're going here, come here, boy, here, boy, here, and you've got no way of making him come to you. That's not good. That just teaches him you don't have to listen to him. So you want to have control, and you want to train when you have control that you can enforce those commands. And you're going to give a command one time. And I never give a command twice. And everybody deserves a second chance. But generally, like the woe, if one isn't going to do it, two's not going to do it either. So you can say it once, you can say it 500 times. If he's not going to come to you, he's not going to come to you then. And it doesn't do you any good or the dog any good to just repeat. Go get him. And if you got that cord on him, even in the field when he gets a little older, you can catch him. You can make him come to you. So that's going to be important as he grows older. Let me check my list. I think that's about everything I wanted to cover today. It's not probably everything you need to know, but we'll hit what we missed, next week. But I wanted to hit that, and those kind of your 2 words for the week. Let's name them. Here and water. Or drink, Drink for water. And remember, the one's not really a command. It's kind of an acknowledgement. A word that he can associate with a drink can be very important as far as I'm concerned. And the other one is here. Like I said, you can use whatever word you want, but I think here is more forceful. So that's going to be the report for week 15. This past Wednesday, today's Friday, but this past Wednesday, Dan was 4 months old, 16 weeks. And he's lost a couple baby teeth, but he won't lose those big canine needles until he's about 6 months. So there's Dan. He's at the door, and you might have heard him bark. Let me grab him, and we'll give you a little picture of Dan, how big he's got. And we'll end this session then. Let me go get him. Come here, Dan, boy. Yeah. All right. Oh! can't just about barely lift Danny anymore. But as you can see, he's gotten to be a pretty good sized dog. And he's actually a little worn out today. He's not as lively as he usually is because he was out running for an hour, hour and a half this morning. So, you have a good week and we'll talk at you later. Bye-bye.